Update. I am denying my ex-wife her last wish. Original post. So, I, 45 male, had a previous relationship with Lucy, short for Lucifer, 43 female. We were married for 5 years and dated for 7. From this relationship, we had 3 kids, again, names made up for privacy. Dean, 21 male, Kylie, 19 female, and Jax, 17 male. Context. A few months before I filed for divorce, I noticed Lucy becoming increasingly controlling and paranoid. For example, if I went out, she needed to know exactly where I was going. One time, I went to my nan's flat to help her, along with my uncle, move some new heavy furniture inside. Despite the fact that I had already told Lucy where I was going, she demanded to know again. I researched why this kind of behavior might happen and found out it can be a sign of cheating. Turns out I was right. Basically, a friend of mine saw her and another man kissing and flirting inside a restaurant while he was there with his siblings and mom. He sent me photos. I filed for divorce, blah blah blah. You get the idea. I didn't really care what I got in the divorce. I only pushed for 80-20 custody and to keep my money. Surprisingly, she didn't contest anything except the custody. I got 70-30 instead of 80-20, but hey, I picked myself up because I still had majority custody. Anyway, earlier this year, over a decade later, my ex was diagnosed with terminal cancer. When Dean told me, along with Kylie and Jax, I didn't really care. I comforted my kids, but personally, I felt nothing. In fact, I'm ashamed to admit that I was kind of relieved at the thought of getting full custody of Jax. Dean has already moved out, and Kylie decided she wanted to stay with only me once she turned 18. A few days later, I got a call from Dean. He told me that Lucy was bedridden and had asked him to talk to me. Basically, her last wish was to have one final conversation with me. I told Dean, quite bluntly I'll admit, that no, I would not talk to her. Any care I had for this woman evaporated when I found out she cheated on me. Dean understood, but warned me to expect a call from his maternal side, as they had basically treated her like the world revolved around her during her last few months. Somehow my ex-in-laws got my number and have been bombarding me with texts and calls, calling me heartless and evil for not granting my ex her final wish. My kids and my ex's cousins, whom she never got along with, are on my side. However, everyone else in Lucy's family and a few mutual friends are against me. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. She can write a letter. You don't have to read it, but they can't argue with that fact. That was my thought. It's not OP's job to forgive, but if his ex wants the opportunity to ask, that's her prerogative too. She can send a freaking letter. My wildly abusive parent got cancer and had everyone beg me to go see them. 3 close family members tried to get them to dictate a letter after I stood my ground. They wouldn't for 2, then dictated such a hate-filled tome that my uncle wouldn't send it to me. Uncle said he understands why I stayed away. Nobody needs to visit their abuser's deathbed. You do you, and I can't fault you for not feeling empathy here. One thing that has me baffled is that you had 70-30 custody for your youngest after your daughter turned 18. Did you not talk to your ex at all? I assume you must have had some contact to make arrangements for drop-offs, holidays, etc. Is it the context of the conversation that you're dreading? That you feel she wants to apologize and bring up past trauma? Because it can't just be seeing her or talking to her in general, which you must have done on many occasions over the years. You say your kids don't mind, but ask yourself if that is truly the case. I don't blame you for not wanting to give her closure, even though it might help you as well, but really make sure that your kids won't hold this against you in the future. She sounds horrible, but she is also their mother, and I worry that they may not be fully honest about their feelings. You clearly care about them very much. In the end, only you can decide what's right for you. Good luck with this very difficult decision, and keep being a kick-ass dad. I decided not to mention it, but my kids were all still minors when this happened, and I got 70-30 custody. My 2 oldest both decided they wanted to stay with me full-time until they moved out. This was discussed, with some pushback, with my ex. I didn't mention it in my post because I saw it as irrelevant. Thanks for your advice and compliments. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, but please start blocking these a-holes from contacting you. I have every intention to. Thanks for the advice anyway. Now for the first update. Yesterday, I posted a short story about denying my ex-wife her last wish. The reason I say this is technically an update is because it's only a small one, very small. It's mostly just a collective response to some general comments. Firstly, thank you for all the advice, love, hate, and laughs about Lucy's chosen name. Secondly, to all those saying, she's getting her karma with cancer, please stop. I might not like her, but I wouldn't wish cancer, let alone terminal cancer, on anyone. Not even the woman who made my life miserable for a long few months. It's kind of messed up to say that sort of thing. I also want to address my resentment toward my ex. To be clear, I do not hate her. Why? That would require me to spend energy thinking about her, and I personally think that energy would be wasted. I rarely have to think about her anyway, and even more rarely now that 2 of my kids don't live with her part-time anymore. To the very few people hurling insults at me, take a hike. If you're going to give your opinion, do it respectfully. And now the tiny update. Many of you advised me not to speak to Lucy in person, and instead write her a letter or make her a video. I have spoken to all of my kids collectively and asked for their opinions. I also told them that what was previously suggested above would be the only way I would consider granting her this wish. My kids all decided that, while they would like me to speak to her, they totally understand if I don't want to. I told them that I am seriously considering writing a letter or making a video for the nth time in that conversation, but that I need more time to decide if that's what I want to do. So I turned to internet strangers once again. Advice would be greatly appreciated. Edit. When I said video, I meant a video call. Sorry for the confusion. I don't see the point of a letter or video from you. She's the one who supposedly has something to say or get off her chest. If you feel the need to say a final goodbye, then sure, write a letter. But this whole situation exists because she wants to talk to you, so that doesn't really solve much from that perspective. If you're okay with it, tell them she can send you a letter or video, and you will promise to read or watch it, and may or may not respond. Yeah, this. I'm actually starting to wonder about OP's real motives here, since this seems like a needless level of drama. The only 2 adult responses are, A, give her what she's asking for, and do it in a magnanimous way because she's dying, or B, just say no, and let that be the end of it. All this engagement and back and forth is pretty childish. I'll just repeat my advice. If my kids wanted me to speak to her, I would go speak with her. This is going to be devastating for them, and anything I could do to make it better, I would. I understand why you don't want to, and I even agree. But you wouldn't be going for her. You'd be going for them. My parents divorced due to my mom cheating and generally being pretty terrible. My mom died a few years after that, and despite everything, my dad was very involved in the funeral arrangements and did anything he could to make it easier on my brother and me. Looking back as an adult now, that couldn't have been easy on him, but I'm really glad he did that. Having to deal with additional drama at that time regarding their divorce or harboring resentment would have made things 100 times worse. My dad putting everything aside to be there for his kids, even at an emotional and financial cost to himself, was one of the strongest things a person could do, and I'm eternally grateful for that. Second update. Hi, it's been a while. Some time ago, I uploaded a post about my ex-wife Lucy, as well as a small update that I didn't really consider a proper response. I'm making this post to update you all and answer a few questions. I'll start with the 2 main questions. The first was, did I talk to her? I ultimately chose not to. At first, a few months ago, I decided I would speak to her in person for the sake of my kids. However, upon arriving at the hospital, I began hyperventilating and nearly passed out. After that, I went back on my decision and chose not to go through with it. I did not think risking my own life just to speak to someone I had not seen in a very long time was worth it. The second question was similar. Did I make her a video, call her, or write her a letter? I did consider this as well. However, after deciding that I might, something happened that made it impossible. Let me catch you up first. Shortly after my post, some of Lucy's relatives who had been attacking me began publicly attacking me on social media. I was targeted by even more people, most of whom I did not know. The posts were eventually taken down when my 3 kids sat down with their mother's relatives and told them, in no uncertain terms, that they would cut contact if this behavior continued. That seemed to stop it. I am incredibly grateful and feel blessed that my kids did this for me. They didn't have to, but they did. Shortly after that, we received news that Lucy might actually survive. Basically, what had been killing her had become benign, and the doctors were working on treatment. Unfortunately, this was short-lived. Just last week, Lucy passed away in her sleep. My children and her family are incredibly upset. I've comforted my kids and done my best to support them throughout this entire process. My kids have decided to begin planning her funeral. I have decided to attend at the request of my eldest Dean and at the request of a mutual friend of Lucy's and mine, whom I'll call John, 42 male. He supported me throughout the divorce process, despite remaining friends with Lucy, and I feel that I owe it to him. John has told me that he will sit with me and make sure none of Lucy's family cause trouble. My youngest and my middle child, Jax and Kylie, have agreed to do something similar by speaking to their relatives and distracting them if necessary. It's not fully planned yet, and I will update you again in maybe a month after the funeral takes place. Thank you for your continued support and kind words throughout this entire period since my first post. Thank you, Reddit, as a whole. At this point, just be there for your kids and maybe talk to a professional to settle your feelings once and for all. I can't imagine how I would feel if I lost my mom, so focus on your kids now. Now that the threat is gone, please channel that energy into supporting your children. They really shouldn't be tasked with running interference at their own mother's funeral, regardless of the circumstances. What her family thinks or says does not matter at all in the grand scheme of things. Their opinions have no bearing on your life now that you have no connection to them. Your kids are going to need you to step up to help them through the grieving process, and a great way to do that is to ensure they can focus on themselves and not petty conflicts. Your kids love you and are wonderful children. Thank you for the update. Nothing but good vibes to you and healing for your children. I think you should talk to Jax, Kylie, and John about what they want for the funeral. A funeral should really be about remembering and mourning the loss of a loved one, not running interference between estranged family members who might get hostile. Dean requested you be there, and your wanting to support him is wonderful, but not at the expense of your other children being able to focus on themselves and their mourning on that day. Have a real heart-to-heart with them and do what seems best for all of them based on their wishes. They are so young to have lost a parent, and I'm glad they have you to support them during this time. Now for the last update. Hi, I know I said I'd update in about a month after my last post, and it's been way longer than that because I kind of forgot, so sorry about that. Most of you internet strangers have been very supportive, and I feel like I owe you an update. Life's been pretty good. The funeral went fine, no drama. I've also started therapy. I never thought I'd start anything close to therapy, but I realized there was a lot of built-up resentment toward my ex that I didn't think was there. My kids are doing well. Dean has just started seeing this girl whom I and the rest of my family absolutely love. Kylie goes off to university in a month. My little girl is growing up. And Jax finishes school at the end of the summer for good. Why is everyone growing up so damn fast? John, if you remember him from my previous posts, is doing really well too. He just got remarried after the death of his long-term girlfriend a year ago, following her nearly 4-year battle with lung cancer. So overall, everything's pretty good. I'd like to thank you all for your continued support, internet strangers. You helped me through the backlash of one of the most difficult decisions of my life, and for that, I'm very grateful. Peace out, Reddit. P.S. I probably won't update again for a long time, if ever. I can't thank you enough for your support. Last story. My girlfriend of 1.5 years told me to be a man and console her when my mom died instead of supporting me. She's now begging for forgiveness. How do I reconcile her apology with a fundamental breach of trust? My partner, 28 female, and I, 31 male, had been dating for about 1.5 years, and up until a few months ago, our relationship felt stable, supportive, and healthy. We had the usual ups and downs, but nothing that ever made me question our future together. That changed abruptly when my mother and my close aunt passed away within 3 days of each other. The losses were sudden and overwhelming, and I was completely devastated. I tried to be open with my girlfriend about how deeply affected I was. I told her I was struggling, grieving, and emotionally drained, and that I needed support. Her response caught me off guard and honestly left me stunned. She told me that I am a man, and that if I wanted to be upset, I should talk to my friends instead. She also said that, as a man, I should be consoling her because she had lost her future mother-in-law. Hearing that, especially in the immediate aftermath of my loss, felt incredibly cold and dismissive. Since that moment, something in me shifted. I didn't feel safe being vulnerable with her anymore, and I slowly started pulling away. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, wondering how someone I loved could respond that way during the worst moment of my life. Yesterday, we finally sat down and talked about it. I told her how deeply her words hurt me and that I no longer felt able to continue the relationship. She broke down, cried, begged me to stay, and apologized repeatedly. She said she was acting out of hurt because she felt ignored during that time and claimed she made a single mistake in an emotionally charged moment. She told me I was throwing away an otherwise good relationship over one comment and promised she would never react that way again. Now I'm torn. Part of me wants to believe her apology and move forward, especially given the time we've invested together. Another part of me feels that what she said revealed something fundamental about her expectations, empathy, and ability to support a partner in crisis. It didn't feel like a minor slip-up. It felt like abandonment when I was at my most vulnerable. So my question is this: how do I navigate this decision? For those who have experienced a serious breach of trust in a relationship, how did you weigh a sincere apology against what felt like a revelation of your partner's core values under pressure? Is reconciliation truly possible when the hurt comes from being emotionally abandoned at the moment you needed support the most? Yeah, she's a red flag, bro. That's how I feel right now. She should be consoled for losing her future mother-in-law? That sentence may be the craziest thing I have ever heard. So basically, she was jealous that you couldn't lavish her with attention when your mother had just passed. Yes, huge red flag. This is not a woman who could handle kids, or frankly anything. I was lost for words when she said that. Every time I feel like I miss her, I remember her words. Do not look past the second equally massive waving red flag she dropped during her apology. Saying she was upset because she felt ignored when your mother was dying is outrageous, and really gross too. The fact that she even thinks that way tells me everything I need to know. Don't walk away, run. You're right, I was really doubting myself before posting this.